drips diamonds like a glacier melts. She's
I've seen a lot of
self-made.
videos on YouTube about creating board form walls, and some of them have my homes that I've actually built on them, the people's videos, so I thought I'd actually create one for myself. So here we're creating a wall, a sort of boundary front wall for our own house here in Auckland. So what we're doing here is, I've got some of my really old shutters here because we've had it here for a while and we're just mucking around when I can. It's these ones, so the straight ones, and then we're coming into, I've got a curve in here, so I've imported these German shutters a few years ago for another job, so by using these we create the curve. It's really important to have the correct base formwork behind all of your in situ work, because that's what holds the strength, and obviously, and there's a hell of a lot of load when you pour the concrete, so you've got to have a solid base. A lot of people use timber forms on the outside and that sort of thing, but you need to use a lot of tie rods, and you still get movement, so I'm a great believer in using the right sort of product. So around here, so what we've done, coming into a curve here, then square here, so because it's kind of an awkward sort of an angle and all this sort of thing, we've actually formed it out of a thicker board like called tri-board, which we get here in New Zealand. So we create that, and then I'll brace all this up properly. You can use the sort of the mechanical formwork as much as you can, but in parts you've actually got to use timber, to create the sort of the finer points. So we come around here and you see what we had here is, so last night I did some boards here, so I've had them covered with the plastic here to keep the sun and wind and rain off them. It's really important. So I've started laying these ones up last night, had this covered, I've exposed it now, and I'll come around here and I'll cover these again soon, just to keep the sun and rain off. A lot of the time we actually create big tents over the whole thing with scaffold on either side, and that's the ideal solution, but it's my place and it's easy just to do this. So you're coming in here, you can see the curve forms here and this sort of thing going into the straights. So these are curved here nicely. So where the boards go on, so we've selected all our boards, we've cut them, I'm using full lengths, I'm not putting any cuts in these because it's only a small height wall. So I'm just going to keep with that. Where we come over the joints in the shutters here, there's a little lip there. So I've just recessed the back of the board off a little bit, just so it goes over there flush and it doesn't bounce on there. So the boards, I've cut a whole bunch here, you can see here against my digger here that we're using to lift the shutters. So I've cut a whole bunch. It's really important not to use the same board. So these two are out of the same length. So I won't use those two together like that, because you get the same appearance of board. The dynamics of the timber will draw the moisture out of the concrete and give a certain colour and that sort of thing. So it's really important when you're putting the boards on that you stagger them. So I've gone to this one, I've gone this one, I might grab this one next, and this sort of thing. So you keep it alternating. So, and then when I come onto this board here, so you can see I've put a datum line up, which the top of the wall is going to be. I just hold it up. I know I can be off the ground a little bit because I'm buried in the ground on the top of the footing. So I hold it up there. I'll get my pin gun. Just pin that in. Now it's really important to use the pins that don't go too far in. You only want them to going in about 10-15 mil into the board here. And then random them. Don't go across horizontally in lines. Go, you're pushing it nice and tight. You're just doing it random. That way, that's all the pins you need. You just need the balance load. So if you don't have the sun and wind and rain coming onto the form, they won't bend and twist and drop off. So they've just got to be holding there. And then as I come along here, what I'll do is I'll test it with either the level or I just measure across to here. So, so I've got 730 something there. Yep. So I'm about 1 mil out. So I can keep just placing these up, bang, bang, bang. So I'll grab another one here. So that was off that end one there. So now I'll grab this sort of rougher looking one. And it has a few of these dags and things on it. Just cut those off. If there's any major ones, and if the board's got a bit of a hump in it or something just here, where a knot is or something, shave it off with the planer. So that goes on there. Again, it's pushed up, pushed in nice. That's it there. And you see when you put these boards on, if you come in close here, you can see you get the odd little gap in that appearing here. But that's all part of the look, you know. So you don't want to. You could push that in really tight and that sort of thing, but then you'd go, you know, then the boards would actually move around a little bit. The idea is just to put them on as tight as you can, but just checking it every 3 or 4 boards, making sure you're not creeping too far. And then because the boards will open a little bit during the build, like by tomorrow these might open up a mil or so just with the natural wind and that sort of thing. But that's the look, so you can really muck around with these too much. So what I'll do is, you know, I'll continue to put all of these on today, and as I come around here I'll bring this plastic around. So this plastic, now that I've finished that section there, I'll just staple this here and I'll just keep it out of the wind and rain. Right? But you see also, so the formwork itself, if we come back to the formwork which we put up a little while ago, so I created these curves here, you know, to create this radius that my radius shutter sat on. I had to be up off the ground a little bit because of the driveway on the other side. I could have sat them down on the ground, but it's, you know, because of the drive I brought it up. So that creates my perfect pattern we've got to sit to. And then when we come along here for the straight shutters, I've marked it all out and I've got these blocks in here. So the shutters all come up to those. Those blocks can stay in there because they're buried deep down below the ground level anyway. And you see, by having those, everything's compacted up into the exact position it needs to be. And you can see they sit on shims, you know, little shims like this. So the footing may be 2 or 3 mil out or whatever, so you can bring it up to perfectly level. Because the shutter on this side has to match the shutter on this side perfectly level. So then what I did with this one, because it was quite tricky with the little end shutter on there and this one there and the curve, I actually set the shutter, these inside shutters here too. I set them here, got them all working, got them perfectly to the right radius, right length, and right shimmed and everything like this. And then I've lifted them out. Because I'm lining this, I've got to do the oil the boards, and then I've got to do the reinforcing, and then I'll line these boards here. So these are the shutters I lifted out. I lifted these out in 2 sections because I've just got my little digger here today. I don't have a little tower crane I normally have. So I sit this curved shutter along with this end that matches into that end there. I'll line all of this, and then the big shutter over here. This is the big one here. That fits in line with the other one, and I'll line this as well. You can see like this end big shutter here, it's pretty crappy old shutters, but like I say, they're just my little job and they're only a 2 meter high pour, so it's easy. These are actually being binned after this job. So by me lining that wall there now, I'll come around, I'll line this, keep them all covered, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how we do all the reinforcing and the pouring. Okay?